Chosen ones, listen carefully. I carry an urgent and weighty message today, and this message is not for everyone. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if you mock spiritual truth, or if you are comfortable living without obedience, you should stop watching now. This message is reserved for God's true chosen ones, those who feel conviction, alignment, and purpose in their spirit. If you are still here, it is because heaven called you to listen. Chosen one, your ex is trying to come back into your life. This is not coincidence, and it is not love knocking at your door. This is a spiritual test, and God is warning you clearly. Do not accept what He already removed. Stay with me till the end, because what I am about to reveal will bring clarity to your heart, peace to your mind, and protection to your future. This message reached you at the exact moment you needed it, before a costly mistake could be made. If you listen fully, you will understand why this return is happening now and what God is saving you from. Before we continue, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, tap the bell icon so you never miss a divine message, and share this with other chosen ones who need confirmation. Comment 777 in the comments as a sign that you are aligned with God's will and obedient to His instruction. Why the ex is returning now. Spiritual timing explained. Chosen one, let me speak to you slowly and clearly now, because this part requires wisdom and discernment. Your ex is not returning randomly. This is not a coincidence, and it is not because they suddenly changed or discovered your value overnight. The reason they are attempting to come back now is because you have shifted spiritually. Something in you has changed, even if you cannot fully explain it with words. Your energy is different. Your spirit is quieter, stronger, more grounded. And when that happens to a chosen one, it sends a signal into the spiritual realm. You see, when God begins elevating you, He also begins separating you. He pulls you out of environments, relationships, and emotional cycles that no longer align with where He is taking you. That separation was painful, confusing, and heavy at first. You questioned yourself. You wondered if you made a mistake. But while you were healing in silence, something else was happening. You were detaching. You were reclaiming your identity. You were learning to stand without leaning on what once defined you. Now here is the part many chosen ones miss. When you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop begging for closure, people who once had access to you feel the loss immediately, especially those who benefited from your presence more than they ever poured into you. They may not understand it consciously, but spiritually, they feel the door closing. And when a door is about to close forever, those standing outside will knock louder than ever before. This is why they are returning now, not because God sent them, but because they sense they are losing access. They sense that you are no longer emotionally available, no longer reactive, no longer waiting. Your silence has spoken louder than any argument ever could. Your healing has exposed what your words never did, and that unsettles them. Let me tell you something important. Timing reveals intention. If they truly had the capacity to grow with you, they would have done it when you were crying, praying, and trying to make things work. They would not need to return only after God rebuilt you without them. The fact that they are coming back now is not proof of love. It is proof that they recognize your absence as a loss. God often allows returns not to restore, but to reveal. He brings old chapters back into your view so you can see them clearly with healed eyes. Before, you were emotionally entangled. You saw through hope, fear, and attachment. Now you see through wisdom, and wisdom changes how things feel. What once felt like love may now feel heavy. What once felt familiar may now feel foreign. That is discernment awakening. Understand this, chosen one. Not every open door is from God. Some doors reopen to test whether you trust your emotions more than His instruction. The enemy does not need to create new traps when old ones already worked before. Familiarity is one of the strongest forms of deception. That is why this return feels confusing. It feels comfortable, but something in your spirit feels uneasy. That unease is not fear. It is warning. Your ex is returning because you are standing at the edge of a new season. Breakthrough always attracts interruption. Elevation always invites distraction. And the closer you get to what God promised you, the more the past tries to reclaim you. This is spiritual law. The old attempts to reattach when it senses permanent detachment. Do not confuse emotional pull with divine permission. God's timing brings peace, not anxiety. God's will does not rush you, pressure you, or confuse you. If this return is stirring restlessness, nostalgia mixed with discomfort, or a quiet dread you cannot name, that is not God drawing you backward. That is your spirit resisting what no longer belongs. You are not being tested because you are weak. You are being tested because you are ready. This moment is revealing how far you have come. And the fact that you are watching this right now tells me your spirit already knows the truth. You are simply seeking confirmation. And this is it. God already removed them on purpose. Chosen one, I want you to breathe for a moment and hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. God does not remove people from your life by accident. He does nothing casually, nothing carelessly, and nothing without purpose. When that relationship ended, when that door closed, when that separation happened in a way you did not expect or could not control, it was not because you failed. It was because God intervened. You may have blamed yourself for a long time. You replayed conversations in your mind. You wondered what you could have said differently, done better, or tolerated longer. But let me free you from that burden right now. If that connection was truly meant to go with you into your next season, no amount of confusion, silence, or conflict would have been able to break it. What God joins cannot be torn apart, and what God removes cannot be sustained by effort. That removal hurt because it was surgical. God cuts deeply, but he cuts precisely. He removes what is infected so the rest of you can live. You cried not because you lost them, but because you were attached to a version of yourself that could not survive where God was taking you. You were grieving familiarity, not destiny. You were grieving comfort, not calling. There were things God showed you about that person that you did not want to accept at the time. Red flags you excused, patterns you normalized, disrespect you spiritualized as patience. But God saw what you could not see clearly because your heart was too involved. Love without discernment always leads to compromise, and God will never allow his chosen one to shrink just to keep someone close. Let me say this boldly. That person was assigned to your past, not your future. They were part of a lesson, not a promise. They helped shape you, yes, but they were not meant to stay. Some people are introduced to activate growth, not longevity. And once the growth is complete, the connection expires. Holding on beyond that expiration date creates spiritual decay. You survived something that was meant to drain you. You endured nights where your mind would not rest and your heart felt heavy. And yet, you are still here, stronger, more aware, more selective. That is not accidental. That is evidence that God was working even when you thought you were breaking. If that relationship had continued, it would have delayed your healing, distorted your identity, and distracted you from your assignment. Now understand this carefully. When God removes someone, he also removes the version of you that tolerated what he never approved. That is why going back feels strange. You are no longer who you were when you accepted less than peace. You are no longer operating from the same emotional hunger. And deep inside, you know that returning would require you to shrink again. That discomfort you feel is your spirit refusing to downgrade. Do not romanticize what God rescued you from. The pain you forgot is still attached to the pattern you are being tempted to revisit. God did not heal you just so you could reopen the wound. He healed you so you could move forward without bleeding on what comes next. Every time you consider going back, remember how hard it was to leave. Remember the prayers you cried. Remember the strength it took to finally let go. Chosen one, God removes distractions before he releases blessings. He clears space before he fills it. That separation created room for peace, clarity, and alignment. If you bring back what he removed, you contaminate the space he prepared. Emotional comfort is not spiritual confirmation. Just because something feels familiar does not mean it is safe. And just because someone misses you does not mean they are meant to walk with you. Trust the God who pulled you out when you were too weak to pull yourself out. Trust the silence he gave you after the storm. Trust the version of yourself that emerged from the pain, wiser and calmer. God already did the hard part. Your responsibility now is obedience, and obedience sometimes means honoring what ended, even when it tries to return. The difference between love and a spiritual distraction. Chosen one, this is where many people lose clarity, so I want you to slow your heart and listen with discernment. Not everything that feels like love is love, and not everything that pulls at your emotions is sent by God. One of the greatest lessons a chosen one must learn is how to tell the difference between divine connection and spiritual distraction. They can feel very similar on the surface, but they produce completely different outcomes in your soul. Love, the kind that comes from God, brings peace even when it challenges you. It does not confuse your mind or disturb your spirit. It does not keep you anxious, guessing, or emotionally unstable. God's love may stretch you, but it will never drain you. A spiritual distraction, on the other hand, feels intense but exhausting. It pulls you backward instead of forward. It awakens old emotions you worked hard to heal. And most importantly, it clouds your judgment. Here is something I need you to understand deeply. The enemy does not come with obvious destruction when dealing with chosen ones. He comes subtly. He comes with memories, shared history, inside jokes, and emotional familiarity. He comes with apologies that sound sincere and promises that feel comforting. Why? Because familiarity lowers your guard. Familiarity makes you forget why God removed something in the first place. Love aligns with your growth. A distraction resists it. Love celebrates your healing. A distraction feels threatened by it. If someone returns and your progress suddenly feels inconvenient to them, that is not love. If your boundaries feel offensive to them, that is not love. If your peace makes them uncomfortable, that is not love. God's connections honor the new version of you. Distractions try to resurrect the old one. Chosen ones feel deeply. That is both your gift and your vulnerability. You love with your whole heart, you forgive easily, and you see potential where others see limits. That is why spiritual distractions are often sent through emotional attachments. The enemy knows he cannot reach you intellectually, so he tries emotionally. He knows if he can stir your feelings, he can delay your focus. Pay attention to what this return produces inside you. Does it bring calm or chaos? Does it make you feel grounded or restless? Does it bring clarity or confusion? God is not the author of confusion. If reconnecting with this person stirs anxiety, overthinking, or emotional imbalance, that is not divine alignment. That is a warning signal. Love does not require you to abandon yourself. Love does not ask you to lower your standards, silence your intuition, or ignore your spiritual growth. A distraction will always require compromise. It will ask you to overlook what you once prayed to escape. It will invite you to tolerate what God already delivered you from. And it will do so gently, quietly, without urgency, hoping you do not notice the cost until you are already entangled again. Let me tell you something important. Spiritual sabotage rarely looks dangerous at first. It often looks harmless. A simple conversation, a casual check-in, a friendly message. But chosen one, every reconnection begins with access. And once access is granted, influence follows. That is why God warns you before you move, not after you fall. You may tell yourself that you are stronger now, wiser now, healed now, and you are. But strength does not mean you are meant to revisit what once wounded you. Wisdom does not mean testing old fires to see if they still burn. Healing does not mean placing yourself back into environments that required healing in the first place. Discernment knows when to walk away, even when curiosity whispers otherwise. Love from God builds your future. Distractions trap you in cycles. Love expands your vision. Distractions narrow it. Love feels steady. Distractions feel urgent. If someone suddenly wants access to you when you are finally at peace, that is not coincidence, that is reaction, and reactions are never rooted in divine intention. Chosen one, the reason this feels confusing is because the enemy always counterfeits what God values. He mimics connection, he imitates intimacy, but he cannot replicate peace. Peace is the signature of God. If peace is missing, God is not present in that situation. You are not cold for protecting your heart. You are not heartless for saying no. You are not prideful for choosing peace over familiarity. You are obedient. And obedience is the highest form of love toward God and toward yourself. This is not about judging the other person. This is about guarding what God has entrusted to you. Your peace, your clarity, your calling. Not everyone who once walked with you is allowed to walk with the healed version of you. Some connections end because they cannot survive your growth. And that is not loss. That is alignment. Chosen one, love never pulls you away from God's path. A distraction always will. And the moment you learn to feel the difference, you will never confuse intensity with intimacy again. What will happen if you accept them back? Chosen one, this is where I must speak to you with firmness, not fear, and truth, not emotion. I am not here to scare you, but I am here to warn you, because love without truth becomes deception. If you accept them back into your life, it will not collapse everything overnight. That is not how spiritual regression works. It is slow, subtle, and almost unnoticeable at first. And that is what makes it dangerous. At the beginning, it will feel familiar, comfortable, almost soothing. You will tell yourself that you are just talking, just catching up, just being kind. But what you may not realize is that the moment you reopen that door, you also reopen an old cycle. Energy does not forget. Patterns do not disappear just because time passed. They wait, and once reactivated, they resume exactly where they left off. The first thing that will begin to fade is your peace. Not all at once, but gradually. You will notice your mind becoming louder again. Overthinking will return. That quiet confidence you built during your healing season will start to shake. You will begin questioning yourself in moments where you once felt sure. This is because you are allowing access to someone who was never aligned with your stability. Next, your emotional clarity will blur. You will start rationalizing things you once clearly recognized as unhealthy. You will make excuses not because you are weak, but because attachment always tries to protect itself. You will remember the good moments and minimize the painful ones. Nostalgia will rewrite history, and you will forget how heavy it felt to survive that connection the first time. Then comes spiritual stagnation. You may still pray, you may still believe, but you will notice that God feels quieter. Not because he left you, but because disobedience dulls sensitivity. When God gives instruction and we ignore it, he often steps back, not to punish, but to let us learn through experience. His silence is not abandonment, it is restraint. He will allow you to choose so that you can understand why he warned you. Progress will begin to reverse quietly. The confidence you gained will feel inconsistent. The discipline you built will weaken. You may feel tired for no clear reason, drained without explanation. That is because you are carrying emotional weight that does not belong in your current season. Old connections carry old energy, and old energy conflicts with new assignments. Emotionally, you will start shrinking, not immediately, but subtly. You will become more cautious with your truth. You will soften boundaries that once felt necessary. You will find yourself trying to maintain peace instead of living in it. And chosen one, the moment you start adjusting yourself to keep someone comfortable, you have already stepped out of alignment. One of the most dangerous consequences is confusion. You will feel torn between what you know and what you feel, between what God showed you and what your heart remembers. This inner division creates anxiety, and anxiety always weakens discernment. When discernment weakens, compromise feels reasonable, and compromise always costs more than it promises. Let me be clear with you. This person returning does not come with new capacity. Time apart does not automatically produce growth. Without true transformation, patterns repeat. The same emotional gaps will resurface, the same misunderstandings will reappear, the same imbalance will return. And because you are now more aware, it will hurt even more than before. You will also notice that your calling begins to feel heavier. Purpose requires clarity, and clarity cannot coexist with emotional entanglement. The more distracted you become, the harder it will feel to focus on what God placed in front of you. You may feel unmotivated, spiritually dry, not because you are failing, but because you are misaligned. Another thing many chosen ones do not expect is self-betrayal. You will remember the promises you made to yourself during your healing, the standards you set, the boundaries you vowed to keep, and each time you cross them for someone else, a part of you feels disappointed. That disappointment turns inward, and slowly your self-trust erodes. God's blessings are often delayed, not denied, by disobedience. Accepting this person back will not cancel your destiny, but it will postpone it. You will find yourself circling the same lessons again, learning what you already overcame. And repetition is exhausting for the soul. God prefers progression, but He will allow repetition if we refuse to move forward. Do not mistake kindness for calling. You can forgive someone without reconnecting. You can love someone from a distance. Access is not required for closure, and not everyone who asks to return deserves entry. Some returns are invitations to repeat pain under a different excuse. Chosen one, understand this deeply. God is not asking you to choose between love and loneliness. He is asking you to choose between alignment and attachment, between peace and familiarity, between obedience and comfort. What waits ahead of you is far greater than what is trying to pull you backward. If you accept them back, you will not lose God, but you will lose momentum. You will not lose your worth, but you will forget it temporarily. You will not lose your calling, but you will delay walking fully in it. And God loves you enough to warn you before that happens. This moment is not about the other person. It is about who you are becoming. And who you are becoming cannot afford to keep revisiting who you had to outgrow. Why the chosen one feels tempted. Chosen one, if you are feeling tempted right now, I want you to release the shame immediately. Temptation does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are failing God. It does not mean you are going backward. Temptation simply means you are human, and more importantly, it means you are standing at the edge of growth. Every elevation comes with a test, and this is yours. Even Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, not because he lacked power, but because he was about to step fully into purpose. Temptation always appears right before expansion. It is not sent to destroy you, but to reveal what has truly changed inside you. The reason this feels intense is because the enemy never wastes effort on people who are not progressing. You are being tested because you are ready. One reason you feel tempted is emotional memory. Your mind remembers moments, not patterns. It remembers laughter, closeness, familiarity. It does not immediately recall the nights you cried, the confusion you lived in, or the strength it took to walk away. Memory is selective, and nostalgia is dangerous when healing is still settling. Your heart remembers comfort faster than it remembers cost. Another reason is loneliness, and I want to speak honestly about this. Healing seasons can feel quiet. When God removes noise, He creates space. But silence can feel heavy if you are not used to it. In that quiet, old connections can feel louder than they actually are. You are not missing that person as much as you are adjusting to peace. Peace feels unfamiliar when chaos was normalized for a long time. There is also the temptation of curiosity. You may wonder if they have changed, if things could be different now, if this time would be better. Curiosity is not sin, but entertaining it without discernment can become disobedience. Curiosity asks questions. Wisdom answers them before action is taken, and wisdom remembers why God closed the door the first time. Chosen ones feel deeply. That depth is your gift, but it is also where temptation enters. You attach with intention. You love with purpose. And because of that, emotional bonds do not dissolve easily for you. But depth does not mean dependency. God did not design you to need someone in order to be whole. He designed you to walk with him first, and then with people who align. Another reason temptation feels strong is because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar peace. Pain you know feels predictable. Peace you are not used to can feel uncertain. When things were chaotic, at least you knew what to expect. Now that things are calm, your nervous system is learning a new normal. That adjustment can feel uncomfortable, and the mind may try to return to what it understands, even if it was harmful. Let me say this gently. Wanting closure does not mean going back. Wanting answers does not mean reopening access. Closure is something you give yourself when you accept that God already answered the question through removal. Not every chapter ends with conversation. Some end with silence, and that silence is holy. God allows temptation to pass through your awareness to show you how much stronger you have become. The fact that you are questioning instead of rushing is growth. The fact that you are discerning instead of reacting is healing. The fact that you are listening to this message instead of following impulse is evidence of transformation. This is also a test of identity. You are no longer the version of yourself that needed validation from someone who could not meet you fully. You are no longer the version that begged for consistency or explained your worth. But temptation whispers, asking if you will remember that. It asks if you will honor the person you became or betray them for familiarity. Do not confuse emotional waves with spiritual direction. Emotions rise and fall. God's instruction remains steady. You can feel tempted and still choose obedience. Feeling something does not require acting on it. Discipline is not the absence of desire, it is the mastery of it. You may also feel tempted because part of you wants to prove that you are healed. You may think that going back and handling things differently would show growth. But healing is not proven by revisiting wounds. Healing is proven by protecting them. You do not need to expose yourself to what once harmed you to validate your progress. Understand this clearly. This temptation is not permanent. It is passing through, not settling in. Like a wave, it rises, peaks, and falls. If you do not move with it, it will lose strength. Every time you choose not to act, your discernment sharpens. Every time you choose peace, your spirit grows quieter and stronger. God is watching how you respond, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Passing this test does not just protect you from pain, it positions you for alignment. On the other side of this temptation is clarity, confidence, and peace that no one can shake. Chosen one, you are not battling desire, you are learning authority. You are learning that you do not have to respond to every knock, answer every message, or revisit every memory. You are learning restraint, and restraint is power. This temptation is not here to pull you back. It is here to confirm how far you have come. And when you let it pass without action, something inside you will settle. A quiet strength will rise, and you will realize that you no longer belong to what once had power over you. You are not losing anything by saying no. You are gaining clarity. You are gaining peace. You are gaining alignment. And most importantly, you are gaining trust in yourself and in God. God's final instruction to you right now, chosen one, this is where everything becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. God is not giving you complicated instructions. He is not asking you to analyze, negotiate, or explain yourself. His instruction in this season is quiet, firm, and protective. Stand still. Do not re-engage. Do not reopen what he closed. Silence is your shield right now. Many people misunderstand silence. They think silence is weakness, avoidance, or fear. But in the spiritual realm, silence is authority. Silence means you are no longer operating from impulse. Silence means you trust God more than your emotions. Silence means you are no longer accessible to what once drained you. When God tells you to be still, He is not asking you to do nothing. He is asking you to stop interfering with what He is doing for you. No response is a response. Not every message deserves an answer. Not every apology deserves access. Not every return deserves consideration. Boundaries are not rejection. Boundaries are stewardship. God entrusted you with peace, clarity, and purpose, and it is your responsibility to guard them. When you say no without explanation, you are not being cruel. You are being obedient. Understand this clearly. God is not testing your love. He is testing your discernment. Love is not proven by sacrifice that destroys you. Love is proven by obedience that protects you. God already saw what you could not handle emotionally, and that is why He removed that person before you broke completely. Now He is watching to see if you will honor His rescue. You do not owe anyone access to your healed self. Healing was expensive. It cost you tears, nights of confusion, and moments where you had to choose faith over feeling. The version of you that emerged deserves protection, not re-exposure. If someone could not honor you when you were vulnerable, they do not get access to you when you are whole. Let me say something that will bring you peace. God is not asking you to figure out what will happen if you obey. He already knows the outcome. Obedience always creates safety, even when it feels uncomfortable at first. Disobedience often feels easier in the moment, but it always carries a hidden cost. God is helping you avoid a price you do not need to pay again. You may feel pressure to explain yourself, to justify your distance, to soften your boundaries so you do not look cold. But chosen one, clarity does not require consensus. Obedience does not require permission. You are allowed to choose peace without defending the decision. People who are aligned with you will understand your boundaries. People who are threatened by them will question them. God's instruction is also about trust. Trust that He is preparing something aligned. Trust that He is not leaving you empty. Trust that letting go is making space, not creating loss. When God asks you to release something, it is because His hands are full with what comes next. He does not take without intention to replace with better alignment. This season is about restraint, about resisting the urge to revisit, about not explaining yourself into exhaustion, about not negotiating with emotions that pass. Restraint is not suppression. It is wisdom in motion. It is you saying, I know who I am now, and I know what I cannot afford to entertain. God is also asking you to stay focused. Distraction always increases when destiny gets closer. The enemy does not need to destroy you if he can delay you. And delay often comes through emotional entanglement. If your mind is preoccupied with old connections, it cannot fully receive new instructions. God wants your attention because clarity precedes blessing. You may wonder if you are being too harsh. You are not. You are being precise. God's people must learn to move with precision, not guilt. You are not responsible for managing someone else's feelings at the expense of your obedience. Compassion does not mean self-betrayal. Kindness does not mean access. You can wish someone well and still walk away. Let me reassure you of something important. What God has for you does not require you to go backward to receive it. Your next connection will not trigger anxiety. It will not make you question yourself. It will not compete with your peace. It will feel steady, safe, and aligned. And you will recognize it because you will not have to abandon yourself to keep it. This instruction to stand firm is temporary, but its reward is lasting. If you hold your position now, you will not have to fight this battle again. Every time you choose obedience, the pull of the past weakens. Every time you choose silence, your spirit grows stronger. Every time you choose peace, your alignment deepens. God sees your restraint. He sees the moments you wanted to respond, but did not. He sees the discipline it takes to protect your heart. And heaven honors discipline. What you are doing right now is not passive. It is active obedience. It is you saying, I trust God more than my emotions. Chosen one, this is your instruction. Stay still, stay silent, stay aligned. Let the past knock. You do not have to answer. Let God handle what you no longer need to carry. You have already done the hardest part. Now remain where God placed you. Peace is not something you chase anymore. It is something you protect. And God is proud of you for learning the difference. Conclusion, confirmation, peace, and divine closure. Chosen one, take a deep breath and let your heart settle. This message did not reach you by accident. God knew exactly what you were facing, exactly what you were feeling, and exactly what decision was standing in front of you. That is why He guided you here at this precise moment. You are not late. You are not confused. You are being protected. Understand this clearly. The fact that your ex is trying to come back is not a sign of loss. It is confirmation of growth. It is evidence that you have changed, that you have risen, that you are no longer accessible in the way you once were. What is behind you is reacting to the version of you it no longer has access to, and that should tell you everything you need to know. You are not missing out by saying no. You are not being unloving. You are not closing yourself off. You are honoring the work God has already done in you. You are choosing peace over familiarity, clarity over confusion, and obedience over emotional comfort. That choice may feel quiet, but it is powerful. Heaven recognizes it. God is proud of your restraint, proud of your growth, proud of your discernment. You did not come this far just to go back and repeat lessons you already passed. What is ahead of you requires the healed, focused, and aligned version of you. And that version cannot afford to keep answering calls from the past. Before you leave, chosen ones, take a moment to like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Tap the bell icon so you never miss what God is releasing next, and share this message with other chosen ones who need confirmation right now. Comment 777 in the comments as a declaration that you choose obedience, peace, and alignment with God's will. Go in peace. Stay grounded. Trust what God already showed you. You are walking correctly, and what is coming will not require you to lose yourself to receive it.